Even though this is about, as you talked about, the intendment is to ensure that there's that federal character.
The spread.
Everybody's, what's that word? Carried along.
Carried along.
So, but you are talking about pronouncements of court as precedents.
Yes.
Which something, isn't it a little different from this one? Because the way it is now, where he says, look, I don't have a problem with the appointment of them. It's the economics. No matter what the law pronounces, we have an economic situation.
That's what I'm saying. If the law says you must have 36 ministers, if tomorrow the Supreme Court says you must have 36 ministers, we now know that we have laid that matter to rest until there's an amendment. And so if the president now says, look, I will appoint 36, but I cannot create 36
How will
ministries.
that then address?
Then you now then we will sit down here and begin to talk about Minister for State or redundancy.
But you have a challenge.
What challenge?
In terms of the spread. If people feel there's an imbalance, there will be agitations in those areas.
If the law says...
The law could say that.
If the law now says, President, the discretion is yours. You can create 12 ministries and appoint 12 ministers, provided that there is spread. In that case, look, let me tell you, Chamberlain, you have Ekweremadu, who is Deputy Senate President, because the position is zoned to the southeast. All senators from that zone must not hold principal offices in the National Assembly.
Yeah,
first thing we need to understand. Isn't that a different
kettle of fish entirely? Because there are even arguments about how he became deputy Senate president.
I'm saying,
so
I'm just giving you that
premise.
Let me tell you, here, the first question I asked was, are we ready as a nation to move forward? Is the government ready to take us forward? And are we ready as a people to help the government move forward? If we are ready, I expect the president advisors at this stage to put on their thinking cap. How do we move out of this? And not sit down and say the law says this. In other nations, you test the veracity or the authenticity of your laws.
The build up to this, ministerial nominees and appointments and clearance, don't forget, was that agitation about representation from different zones.
Yes.
If you then go to court and the court pronounces you can appoint 12 because you can fund 12, is that taking cognizance of the agitations and the notion? Because we thought that the law is supposed to ensure that, look, every justice is seen to have been done.
Yes, justice in this case does not mean that a minister must come from your state. Just like in INEC, you have representatives, 2 from each zone. So you have 13 national commissioners, the chairman, and 2 representatives from each zone. So why are we not agitating that, look, all states must have a national commissioner in INEC? Because the law says 2 from each zone. It is now that we've reduced this matter to, oh, you must have a minister from my state, as if the moment the minister comes from Edo State, that automatically translates to good governance in Edo State. No. We need to move away from that method of thinking. If, like I said, if I go to court now, I would have challenged this. But if I go to court, there must be a course of action. Does the president have powers to appoint ministers? Yes, he does. Does he have powers? Has he appointed 36 ministers? Yes, he has. So what is your grievance? That would be the question the court will ask me. But if the president had appointed 20, and I say, no, you must appoint 36, there will be a course of action. The court will now determine my right of action and then make a pronouncement on that, or the argument.
So you cannot go to court now to say, well, you know, the president has said we cannot afford to have 36 ministries or even 36 ministers, and as such is not going to give some people portfolios. I'm challenging that and saying he did not need to appoint 36 ministers.
There's no
cause of action.
No, there is no cause of action because the president had not violated any section. So there's no cause of action. But if you say...
Some people believe he will if he doesn't give all of them portfolios.
Okay, when we get to that, beautiful. When we get to that point of the road, let these people challenge it. And then...
You know, the beauty of law is what some of our viewers are saying. That we'll have listened, someone is saying specifically, saying that he's listened to 3 lawyers today. And
I hope more
confused.
Oh, no, that's what I'm trying to avoid.
All three on the same document called the Nigerian Constitution. They're saying something quite
Suleiman, beautiful. That is why you now need a court to make a pronouncement
No, but
on it. Because even
liberals,
if you bring 5 lawyers here,
no,
you might have
liberals,
5 different opinions.
No, but the thing is, your view can be considered as a dissenting view. Because you have three,
yes,
three lawyers, 2 have said we need 37.
That is because you have 3 here. If
You
you
say-
had 4, you might probably have another view that will support mine.
No, but that's a quorum, 3.
And so, no, that's what I'm saying. If you have 4, you might probably have another one that will support my view.
Because you need that.
So what I'm saying
of
here
voting.
is, now that you have lawyers giving different interpretation, like we have always had, even in before the Ladoja's pronouncement, we've always had those different interpretations. That is why when the court now makes a pronouncement on it, even some people that were saying, no, the president must appoint 36, we now clap and say, yes, the court had spoken. And that's why we say, as your lordship pleases.
Can the court pronounce that we're not broke?
The court will not go into those areas because the court is not in the pocket of Mr. President. But here, basically, what I'm saying is you cannot rule out the fact that the law cannot give you a discretion with one hand and take with another. If that happens, like we're hearing different interpretation now, what should be done is to seek clarification.
Even though I see some, Joan says, zonal representation.
Look, let me tell you.
Zonal representation of ministers is unknown to our laws, which is what you were talking about.
No, the person should read the Constitution again. He should go and read the Constitution again. Look, let me tell you.
She's a lawyer.
In 1981, 1982, the same Constitution says if a man absent himself from the sitting of a house for unknown cause for a period of 180 days or so, that the seat shall be declared vacant. Oloyo and AG Bende states, the Benson Alegbe declared the seat of Oloyo vacant. Oloyo went to court. It's reported in Ganifa Emi's law report, Nigerian Constitutional Law reports, and the court made a pronouncement on it. Because as at that time also, the scholars of law were of the view that unjust cause was not defined anywhere. And so you now begin to look for what is the meaning of the unjust cause. And so that is how you develop your legal jurisprudence. You don't just sit down and say, this is the law, and so it has been followed.
So you think we should go to court on this matter?
Yes. If the moment an attorney general, that is the only minister that the Constitution provides for. The moment you have an attorney general...
But that's not in contention about the 36.
No. Once you have an attorney general, let him take this matter before a Supreme Court for interpretation.
Which of the matter? This one is not in contention.
The issue of... Because it is. It is. Because the president is now saying...
No, he's attaching portfolios that's the issue because they're going to merge ministries. He's already appointed, they've been nominated, they've been nominated,
and the president is saying, my hands are tied. And so, because my hands are tied, if I have my way, I would have appointed maybe 20, 21, or less than 36 anyway, because my hands are tied. And we are saying, President, your hands are not tied. So rather than put yourself in that box where you'll be thinking of who am I going to give portfolios? Because those who are not giving portfolios are redundant. There's no need. Why should we be paying people for doing nothing?
All right, Mr. Liberal Oshoma, it's at that, I hope not confused state of our viewers that will end the session. Thank you very much indeed for your comments. Liberal Oshoma is a legal practitioner. Well, that's the show today. Let's get your comments quickly before we wrap up. Akeem, talking about ministers without portfolios. I'm afraid I'll have to delegate this one.
Clarity of our constitution is always questionable. Nigerians must demand a new constitution for efficiency. That's what Akeem is saying. And Solomon is saying that, talking about ministers without portfolios, stop comparing Nigeria to the US. America is practicing federalism. No one needs a minister for a US state to get second Niger bridge done.
Did they have second Niger bridge?
He's just given an instance, for instance. Well, and this is from Kiyembo, who says that we do not need 36 ministries. Or 36 ministers. What we need are people to formulate policies to move this nation forward. And Lawal says, well, I think he keeps testing me.
Okay, all right, Gav.
Our major problem is our division in unity. There's no reason why we need to appoint 37 ministers if we don't need them.
Okay, this one also says, I think we should allow the president to do what he wishes for the nation I believe he has good intention for the country.
Matthew says, so one issue, 3 lawyers, and 3 different interpretations and perspectives. Don't you just love law?
So
He didn't say that part, so I'm just adding it.
So there you go. That's it. Keep your comments coming through. We appreciate all of that. And can imagine what it means to be the president. Different views. How do you handle all of them? Well, that's the show. Thank you for your comments and for watching as well.
Yes.
We'll be back next time. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Oh, thank you. Ogun.
I have a gift for you. My son's diving goggles. I'm Swayman. He's going to help you.
Means I'm about to dive in somewhere then. All right.